Hi, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Caesar Transformation Healing Center. We're going to look at the last few days or the last week of September to wrap up this very interesting and transformational September 2023. So we can get started with that right now. All right, so let's just very briefly talk about the numerology and the Kabbalah of September, just to sort of put us in the frame of mind. Um, Here we have the paths and the numbers activated in September. We have the universal year vibration, which is a 7. 7, of course, is the vibration of knowing the self. It says this is a vital year to take collective pause when we prepare for a massive reset. We're in the midst of that, right? Okay. The diffuse energy of 7, beckons us to go inward, quiet down, slow down, and sit with ourselves, to study, analyze, ask questions, and peel our personal onions. As we contemplate bigger questions, deep shadows arrive to the surface, both collectively and individually. And we've certainly experienced that so far in 2023. On the Tree of Life, that 7 path is found here between Bina, which is the Sephiroth of the Divine Feminine, and Gabura, which is the Sephiroth of the adjuster. A lot of chiropractors have numbers in this place on the Tree of Life. The path runs between this on the pillar of severity. This is the pillar of severity. This is the pillar of mercy, and this in the center is the pillar of transformation. The planets associated with these two Sephiroth are Saturn, which is in Pisces, and Mars, which I believe spent most of this month. Oh, yes, it did. Spent most of this month in Libra. Now, it was moving forward, but Mars is not all that happy with Libra because of the nature of Mars and the nature of Libra. Mars likes to go in a straight direction, and Libra, and just go with its instincts. And Libra, of course, has to think about everything. Each step with a Mars and Libra needs to be a strategy. And we've actually seen that with with Jack Smith and with Donald Trump. We've seen how careful he's had to be, how he sort of has set it up to make it as clear as possible, because of course we know that if Trump is good at anything, it's muddying the waters, right? And of course, this path between is connected to the sign of Cancer. So any planets moving through Cancer would be significant. Anything happening in Cancer, any cancers this year get activated. And of course, we know that the United States is a Cancer country, as is Canada, which is having its own series of challenges. And I'm trying to think if I can't think of any other Cancer countries off the top of my head, but if you do know if your country is a Cancer or not, you could see how each country that has Cancer, like a Cancer sun or a lot of Cancer, sometimes it's not just the sun, have been affected. And we've certainly had to come to terms with in this country who we are. And I think we're still struggling with that. So this path that we're on is the 18th path. So it's called the intelligence of the House of Influence. It is connected to the Chariot card. And the Chariot is the vehicle of the force of spirit. The vehicle carries, conveys, or expresses. What is the vehicle? The vehicle is our personality. It's our life on earth. And what drives it but our soul? Our soul drives it. The human personality as a vehicle of expression for the soul. And so this year has been a year of knowing thyself, really coming to terms with what are you here to do. And so if you want to know what you're here to do, if you're not quite sure, maybe you want to get a reading, because that gives you information really that you can't get from other places, except inside of yourself. Most people know what they're here to do. They just need a little bit of push. All right. So the next vibration we look at is the 9 vibration. I'm still in August. The 9 vibration. The 9 vibration is the Hermit card in the tarot. This is a vibration. This vibration has come to give service to humanity and to make the world a better place for all to live. There is a thirst for spiritual knowledge and wisdom that transcends personal love and needs. The 9 is the humanitarian with universal love for all, and many of you can actually, you really resonate with that. Now, this is the path of the intelligence of the will, mediating between Hesed, which is here, the blue circle associated with the planet Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus this month, and Tiphereth, which is associated with the sun, and of course, in September, the sun is in Virgo and then moves into Libra. Now, as I sit here, the sun is still in Virgo. We have a few more days before the fall equinox, which we're going to talk about today. Or did we talk about that? Maybe we talked about that. Okay, anyway. And the path that lies between them is the path where the 9 vibration is. And the 9 vibration is associated with the Hermit card, as I said, the vibration of 9. The Hermit is the light in the darkness. He lights the way for all seekers. So if you feel like you're in the dark, you simply need to ask for help. And there are people out there, including myself, who will help you find the light that shines uniquely for you. Okay. All right. All the answers lie within. All right. So if we add those 2 vibrations together, we are actually the month and the year vibration. We're actually in a 16-7 vibration this month. And a 16-7 is all the facades come down. We see people for who they truly are. And there's been a lot of people in the news that have been exposed in that way. The 16-7 is a karmic debt number. This is a karmic vibration that brings the opportunity to transform and to transmute, to tear down and to rebuild. A flash of intuition or understanding, a bolt from the blue that brings awareness that was not there before. So we're pretty far through September at this time. What awarenesses, what flashes of intuition have you gotten that weren't there before? Okay, we're dealing with the tower, the path that goes across the bottom of the tree of life. It's like the first rung of the ladder going up. It's associated with Mars, the planet Mars. This path is associated with Mars. Tower is associated with Mars, and Mars is in Libra. Of course, Mars in Libra can indicate a lot of legal stuff, right? And we've had all kinds of legal things coming down, all kinds of people being held accountable, all kinds of people in legal jeopardy. Okay. This path is completely in the lower self. It is in the solar plexus, And for some of the time this month, the 2 planets, Venus over here and Mercury over here, were retrograde. Of course, Venus went direct on the 3rd, so she wasn't retrograde for very long, but she's still not out of her shadow. She doesn't get out of her shadow till October. Mercury was retrograde till the 15th, turned around. It is past the 15 as I do this, so it's starting to move forward, but it's moving forward very slowly still and doesn't get out of its shadow until the end of the month, but at least things are starting to move forward. So once we reach the 15th, we started to feel things move, right? Because both we have Mars in Libra, very sort of deliberate, considered action. Venus now was moving forward in Leo, and then Mercury started moving forward in Virgo. Says the tower is the path of the tower is completely in the lower self, the battle between the mind and heart, attempting to seek balance. Personal will, or a battle of wills, sudden illumination and a lightning flash activates or excites the truth. destruction of outmoded forms, including outmoded ways of relating to ourselves and the outmoded ego in some cases. A higher challenge demands that you break out of old structures. The tower is the key of rapid destructive change to a higher state of form. The tower represents a place to be isolated in order to understand. So if you've been feeling a little isolated this month, it's part of the process. Okay, so I'm just going to run through these very quickly because these are things we already looked at. You can go back to my weeks before if you want to know exactly what this was all about. Okay, here we go. Week 4, September 24th to September 30th. So we start with Sunday. Now, September 23rd was the equinox. Okay. Oh, no, it wasn't was it the 23rd? I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. I better look. Sun in Libra. Oh, yeah, September 23rd. So this was the equinox. This happens on Saturday. This coming Saturday. Yes. Yes, I believe so. As I sit here. And so we're at the point in the season where we're at a balance point, right? We're at a balance point. The dark and the light are equal. And now in the Northern Hemisphere, the dark starts to rise, the light starts to reduce. And then by winter or by winter solstice, we have the shortest day and the longest night. And then after that, it starts to do this again and come back. And then at the equinox, at the vernal equinox, well, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the vernal equinox. So when we go into spring, we're at that even point again, and then the light starts to rise. So it's this, right? It's this. We're doing sort of this, even, you know, up, down, balance, up, balance, down. Like this is the deal, right? This is what we do through the season. So let's take a look at the week ahead because that's really what we're here to do. On Sunday, September 24th, Saturn, the sun, excuse me, makes an inconjunct to Saturn. This is difficult. Inconjuncts require adjustments. Inconjuncts are energies where we feel like we're missing the mark, right? So it says struggling to fulfill your needs without neglecting your obligations can lead to great inner tension. And so we do really need to pay attention to our obligations. That's Saturn. Saturn requires us to do what we're supposed to do, whether we like it or not. It's what you have to do. Now, very often I'll tell my clients, don't shit on yourself, right? But this is a time when, well, it's not really shoulding or ought to, it's must. You must deal with what you need to deal with. We also have on a Sunday, Mars make an opposition to Chiron at 19 degrees of Libra and Aries. This is a fruition point. The oppositions are always the halfway point of any cycle. And this is the halfway point between the Sun Chiron cycle that began with the Sun Chiron conjunction on the 15th of June, 2022. So last year. Now, why is it taking that long? Because every cycle with Mars is a 2-year cycle. Mars and any other planet has a 2-year cycle. And at that time, we had a conjunction at 16 degrees of Aries. We're going to look at these charts more specifically. On Monday, the 25th, we have a beautiful trine between Mercury and Jupiter. This is very, very good. We need this trine, honestly. It's a free flow of energy. It's creative self-expression, and it's both sides of the mind. Mercury rules with our logical mind, and Jupiter, our more intuitive side. Now, in this trine, Jupiter is retrograde and Mercury is moving forward, but there's still a balance and a flow, okay? We can utilize our intuition to help us understand what we need to understand in the reasoning part of our mind to self-express and say what needs to be said. On Saturday, now you're like, whoa, wait a minute, we just like jumped a whole bunch, right? Well, the next big thing that happens on Saturday, the 29th, when we have a full moon in the sign of Aries. This is the the halfway point between the lunation cycle that began with that new moon in Virgo. Remember that new moon in Virgo, 22 degrees of Virgo, trine Uranus. There's a flow and for change, swift change, right? And we've seen it swiftly. People are bing, 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 bing. We're seeing it in the outer world. We're seeing shifts in power, right? We're seeing how people are sort of positioning themselves because there is a bit of a new world order, guys, a new world order. So the full moon at 6 degrees of Aries, and also Venus making a first quarter square to Uranus on that day. This is the last of 3 exact first quarter squares between Venus and Uranus. This is going to supercharge Venus, okay, which is just now coming out of, just about ready to come out of her shadow, moving forward in Leo. And Saturday, September 30th, we have Mercury make a trine to Uranus. Mercury and Uranus have a special relationship. Mercury is the lower mind, Uranus is the higher mind. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. And we have Mercury at 23 degrees of Virgo. We have Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus. This is a self-expressive trine. Self-expressive trine. Okay, let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to look at is the Mars conjunct Chiron. Well, the Mars opposite Chiron, which is on the right side here. So here's the opposition. Here's Chiron at 19 degrees. Here's Mars at 19 degrees. I always go up 18, 24 is 19 degrees. Chiron is very close to the north node. Mars is getting close to the south node. In October, we're going to have a new moon at this node, at the south node. Mars is going to be there. Mercury is going to be there. And Chiron is going to be over here along with Eris. Eris is actually here right now. I just didn't put her in. She's right here. So we also have this energy of Eris, which is it's standing up for yourself. It's not taking it anymore. It's the march of the little guy, right? It's rebellion. And how many we have strikes in America. We haven't seen this, like a summer of strikes. We haven't seen this in a really long time. And its time has come. The people and the workers need to stand up for themselves, because those people in power, and I don't necessarily mean the president in this case. I'm talking about the people who really, the plutocrats, right? People are fed up. They want to have a life. They don't want to go by what these plutocrats are telling them to do and how they're supposed to live their life and what they're supposed to do, but the plutocrats aren't willing to give them anything. So we have a lot of rebellion. Now that rebellion isn't going anywhere, really. 2024 is an 8-year, and so it's an 8-year that began let's see, it's 2023, so it began 2019, 2017. So as you sow, so shall you reap. What happened in 2017? We know what happened. All right, we're not going to talk about that. This was the initial conjunction that happened in 2022. In fact, that vibration vibrated to a 27-9, which is the Ace of Wands. So this is the birth of spirit, really. And it occurred at, let's see, where is the conjunction here? I usually highlight it. Oh, here it is, 16 degrees. So let's look at the Sabian symbols. We'll talk about the conjunction first. This was the initial seed. And so this was 2022, the initial seed. Nature spirits are seen at work in the light of sunset, attunement to the potency of invisible forces of nature. In the light of personal fulfillment, the symbol of sunset and wisdom, man may be able to establish a life-giving contact with natural forces. This is about working with the energy of the earth, folks. And the earth is talking, and then that's another thing that's happened. There's been so much out of the ordinary expressions between the earth and the weather, and then the people. We're all in a tumult, right? We're all in a tumult. We're at the change of an age. We're at the change of an age. We're moving into a new sort of vibrational sphere, and as we move through that, there's a lot of chaos. The most important thing is to focus on yourself. The most important, and I don't mean like self, like narcissistic self, but align with spirit. Align with spirit. Take each day as it comes. It's very difficult at this point to plan ahead because we don't really know what's going to happen. The only thing we know is that we're here and we're breathing, and one step in front of the other, we're going to move forward. So we are at the fruition of half of this cycle, the building stage of this cycle. Cycles with conjunctions and oppositions. The conjunction is the seed, the opposition is the fruit. And then once we have the opposition and see the fruit of the seeds that were planted, then we disseminate the fruits through the collective. And so this is the fruit. The opposition is the fruit. So Chiron is now at 18 degrees of Aries. We'll look at the Sabian symbol for that. The magic carpet of Oriental imagery. The keynote here is the use of creative imagination. Keyword, a strife transcending an unattached outlook upon everyday reality. It's kind of what I just said, right? In opposition to Mars, which is now at 19 degrees of Libra, a gang of robbers in hiding. Well, I wonder who that is. Sorry. Protest against disharmonic social privilege. Individuals alone are impotent in producing actual change in social consciousness. A group must be formed. The key words here is group protest. And what are we seeing? You can't make this stuff up, man. Group protest. The vibration of this day is a 40/4. It's the Page of Cups energy. Page of Cups is found in Malkuth on the Tree of Life. Malkuth is the place of the earth. It's our physical reality. 4 is about crisis. 0 is the God force. 4 is also about building foundations. But the foundations must be built on love and compassion, not illusion and delusion, which this could be because this particular vibration is associated with Pisces. It's so very important for us to be coming from our light side. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm trying to move forward. Sorry. I have so much to say. Always so much to say. Okay. So next thing we're going to look at is the Mercury Jupiter trine. Now, because of Mercury's retrograde cycle, we've actually had 3 trines. Okay. Now the trine is self-expressive. It's a Leo side trine. It's the height of ego to a certain extent, but it is about self-expression and flow between the 2 sides of the brain. This particular cycle began at 19 degrees of Aries on March 28th of this year. The magic carpet of Oriental imagery. We see that image again, right? So this trine, I'm sorry, the opposition of Chiron and Mars is connected to this trine via the initial focus of what started this whole process this year. Okay, so it's the use of creative imagination, strife transcending, unattached outlook upon everyday reality. Okay, rising above the chaos and staying centered in the moment that you're in. That's where we have all our power, in the moment, in the now. There will be times when we'll be able to plan for the future, but right now we're in the moment, and that's where we need to sort of stay. Now, this is the third of 3 trines that we've had. The first trine and the third trine actually happened, and the third trine is on this day, right? It happened on the 25th of September, happened at the same degree. We had Mercury at 15 degrees, and we had Jupiter at 15 degrees. Mercury at 15 degrees, a fine lace handkerchief, heirloom from valorous, what am I saying? Valorous ancestors, the quintessence of deeds well done in a trine to a head covered with a rakish silk hat, muffled against the cold. Man braves a storm. You know all that stuff about the storm, the storm, the storm. We're braving the storm, guys. We're braving the storm. The courage needed to meet the crisis precipitated by social ambition. Who has social ambition? Oh, I don't know, somebody who lost the presidency and refuses to concede, perhaps. And then we also had in the middle trine actually occurred at a different degree. It occurred at 16 degrees. So this happened on September 4th. So we had the first trine happen at the beginning of the second trine, excuse me, happen at the beginning of September. And the last one happening now, about 20 days, 21 days later. Just to go over that, I'm sorry if you hear my bird. He's very loud today. He's very vocal. Mercury at 16 degrees of Virgo, an old teacher fails to interest his pupils in traditional knowledge. Trine, in a zoo, children are brought face to face with an orangutan. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right? Direct confrontation with the wild power of primordial nature within oneself, right? So these are the symbols that come with this trine. Let's keep going here. All right, so we're looking at the full moon now. This is Friday the 29th. It vibrates to a 45-9. 45-9 is the 5 of Cups. Incidentally, the orange, what do you call the orange menace? Mango. Anyway, he was the 45th president. And how many of us have been doing this since he was president, right? You have to mourn, but then you have to look and see what's left and move on, move over the bridge and move on to build something new, right? Or to go back and this was a time of release, great release, and unfortunately release of a lot of lives, a lot of pain, suffering, but you know, we're all here for a reason. And some of us are here to witness the release, and other people are here to release and to be released. So if you're still here, you're meant to be here, right? Okay. So this is the moon is at 6 degrees of Aries, a square with one of its sides brightly illumined. The emotional desire for concrete and stabilizing existence as a person. Keyword here is the one-sided urge for inner stability. I mean, that's really the only stability we're finding. You're not going to find stability on the outside because it's not there. You have to look on the inside, foster it on the inside, because that's where it starts. If we want peace in the world, we have to have peace in our hearts. And I have to say, many of us don't have peace in our hearts. And, you know, a lot of us are suffering the loss of people we love simply because we don't agree on something. And that's unfortunate. But before we can come together, we have to come apart. That's the way it works. And it's in opposition to the sun at 6 degrees of Libra. And that is Sabian symbol for that. The man watches his ideals taking a concrete form before his inner vision. The need to visualize clearly one's dreams or ideals in order to make them truly effectual. Keyword, interior formulation. So this is about focusing on what you want what you want to see in your life. Not what is out there, not necessarily what's happening out there, but what is it on the inside. This full moon is the culmination of the building side of the cycle that was seated at 22 degrees of Virgo, a royal coat of arms enriched with precious stones. Keyword, nobility. Nobility conferred upon a man exacting responsibilities. The question implied in the symbol is, are you willing, able, and ready to assume a royal office at whatever level it might be? What responsibilities are you willing to take? Right? We are the people we've been waiting for, and it's going to become more and more abundantly clear to us that this is the case. Okay. Venus square Uranus. This is the third of three due to the Venus retrograde cycle. All three were at the same degrees, with Venus at 23 degrees of Leo, square Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus. Very, very unusual that it would keep activating the same degree. So it activates the same degree. So the Sabian symbols are the same of the square, but the number vibration is different, and the number vibration will give us a story. So let's look at the initial conjunction, because that's when it all started. That was the seed thought, the seed planted. That occurred on March 30th of 2023 at 17 degrees of Taurus. A symbolic battle between swords and torches. I always say that wrong when it comes out. My jersey comes out. Keynote, refusing to depend upon the past. The seeker turns warrior, fighting anew the eternal great war. A polarization of values. And what is the great war? It is the war of the heart over the mind. The heart over the mind. Okay. The mind lies, the heart tells the truth. The heart, love, unites, the mind separates. The vibration for that day was a 40/4. That is Donald Trump's path of life, guys. And so he is showing us. He is showing us where mental division will get us. The gates of hell, guys, the gates of hell. So let's look at these two symbols where all three conjunctions occurred. Okay, we have Leo, 23 of Leo. That was Venus, right? Venus at 23 degrees of Leo. In a circus, the bareback rider displays her dangerous skill. The audacity and perseverance required to control and play with the powerful energies of the vital realm in human existence. Keyword, virtuosity. And Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus, a jewelry shop filled with valuable gems. The keynote here is the social confirmation of natural excellence and a certification of personal worth. This is really speaking and talking to us about the concentration, the courage that it takes to move through this time. You are here. You are a courageous soul. You stayed for this. And we need everybody to sort of pull their weight and do their best and be best at what they do. Right? I mean, I sound a little like Melania, right? The be best, which is good. I mean, be best is true. I don't know how she be bested, but the sentiment is right on. Okay. So because this is the same degree, let's look at the vibrations of the days that these happened on. Well, the vibrations that came from these three squares is the Tower, the Queen of Wands, and the Five of Cups. Okay. Mars, Saturn, Mars. These are the planets associated with these cards. If you remember in the beginning, when we looked at the 7 vibration, right? We had Binet and we had Gabura and we had the path of the Cancer energy, right? Along the 18th path on the tree of life. And it's the path that runs between Mars and Saturn. And so this Venus square is like Venus is getting shot through a cannon, okay? And Venus is not putting up with any crap. This is the rise in part of the feminine. But it's not just the rise of women. It's the rise of the feminine within all of us. It's about, we have these right-wingers that are like, manly men, manly men, let me put some lights on my sack. Sorry, probably shouldn't have said that. Anyway, but it's not about that. It's about a balance between the masculine and the feminine. We need to balance things. And we're moving into, we're in Libra territory now. And we're having eclipses coming up in October in Libra. Okay. So this is the time. This is when we are being called. We are being called to do the balance that is necessary. I just want to talk about the opposition here, because the opposition, which is going to happen on the winter solstice. Remember, I said this thing, right? On the winter solstice, is a 40/4 vibration. Okay, we have that vibration again. So it starts on a 40/4, it balances on a 40/4, and it's at 20 degrees of Scorpio Taurus. And I believe I put that in here. Oh, maybe I didn't. Hold on a second. I thought I put that in. Let me just check something here. Oh, here it is. This is the opposition. Now, this is going to happen in December, so it's not really right now. But here we have it. Venus, Uranus, 20 degrees. 20 degrees of Scorpio, where Venus is. A woman draws away 2 dark curtains, closing the entrance to a sacred pathway. The revelation to the human consciousness of what lies beyond dualistic knowledge. This is about unity. Keywords: plunge ahead into the unknown. You can't make this stuff up. Uranus at 20 degrees of Taurus. Wisps of wing-like clouds streaming across the sky. The awareness of spiritual forces at work. Blessings. This is okay. That came on. Interesting. The sun is still in Sag at this point. It's at 29 degrees of Sag, very close to the galactic center. Very close to the galactic center. So let's go back here, because I don't want to miss this out. This is the trine between Mercury and Uranus, and it is also a creative, self-expressive trine. It started with the Mercury conjunction of Uranus, which occurred on June 4th of this year. It was a 17.8 vibration, which is the star card. At 21 degrees of Taurus, a finger pointing to a line in an open book. Learning to discern what is in your culture and religion, what in your culture and religion is meaningful to you personally. Subservience to collective values. This is about what's important to you. What's important to you. Now we have Mercury at 23 degrees of Virgo. The lion tamer displays his skill and character. It's interesting that these symbols are like around a circus, and kind of, don't you feel like you're in a bit of a circus these days? Anyway, the need to tame one's vital energy to fulfill one's destiny. Resoluteness and patience. So that's what we need. Resoluteness and patience of the mind. Uranus is now at 23 degrees of Taurus. Oh, wait a minute. I saw this thing, a jewelry shop filled with valuable gems. The social confirmation of natural excellence, the certification of personal worth. This is a 46-1 vibration this day. This is the 6 of Cups. It's about childhood. It's about children. It's about love. Located on the tree of life in Tiphereth, which is the place of the Christ consciousness. And we can see here's the trine. And if you look over here, we actually have a grand trine with Pluto. Transformation, change, mind. Transformation, change, mind, activated by Neptune, which creates a kite divinity, divine oneness. See that? we're going to have to come together. Starts here. Peace in your heart, peace on the inside, peace on the outside. Peace before me, peace behind me. Peace below me, peace above me. Peace to the right, peace to the left. All the directions. Okay. All right. Did you expect anything else? I mean, what a freaking month. 16/7. I did say this month was going to be a month of like introspection, and like there wasn't much we could do, but there was a lot we could be, and we need to continue to be our true selves. That's what the tower teaches us. All the facades come down and we realize that we are spirit, and that we are both spirit and earthly. And it's the coming together of that energy. And that energy comes together in the heart chakra, anahata, unstruck, love, awe, agape. It's been a crazy month, man. Thank you so much for being with me during this month. Hopefully I've helped a little bit. Like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. It keeps me in the algorithm, whatever that means. If you'd like to support my work, I do have a Patreon page. It's open for patrons, $5 a month. You can support this, and I'll be able to even expand a little bit more once it becomes a little bit more financially positive for me, as always, right? I'm a great proponent of doing what you love and loving what you do, and that's what I'm doing. So thank you for your thumbs up. If you're a patron, thank you for that. Thank you for your attention. You could be looking at any number of things and you're watching this. And for those, and this is for, those with ears to hear, right? And so eventually more and more ears are going to open up to this stuff, and we're all going to be in a better place for it. I love you guys. I really do. It's been an honor. Much love, everyone. Namaste.